Hi, my name is Shawn Shaler, here with my friend the Objective Geek, aka Chris Ford. I usually say that in the other order, that sounds weird. And also, friend of the show, Jaimee, is back. She's going to join us for a second episode because in our minds and memories, this was a Zuko episode and a perfect one for her to join, even though we just discussed it's really not all that Zuko heavy. But when Zuko is here, he's impactful. And we're really happy that Jaimee voluntarily rejoined us for another episode. There's no bribes. We have no shade or dirt on her whatsoever. But
you said that voluntarily, like she keeps forcing her way back in here. We didn't invite her. God, she's still here.
It was either have Jaimee back on the show or lose some kind of argument debate to Chris again, and I just get tired of losing debates all the time. You know, it's tough on my ego. So
it's time for somebody else to lose, huh?
That's right. Let's bring somebody else on.
Be today.
But before we get to any debates or anything at all, how are you guys doing? Let's let Jaimee go first. Jaimee, how you doing?
Of course.
Well, I am super great. Thank you guys for having me back on. I feel like it's been a while since I've talked to you guys. It really hasn't been, but I just city and have a new job and that's crazy. But no, I'm just happy to be still here in the Avatar world, per usual, always.
Well, I won't speak for Chris, but I have no life, so I'll be waiting whenever you have time to talk. We know you had a big week. You've moved and you have started an internship. I won't say where. I'll let you say where if you're able and willing. But congratulations, that's very exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, I am allowed. I'm at CNN, which is super awesome, and I'm learning how to be in television. So that's cool.
And CNN is owned by Disney, right? So you can give us lots of inside stuff. No,
I think CNN is owned by Warner Media. Yeah, Time Warner.
Warner Media. Warner Media, which is...
I'm sorry. That was probably sacrilegious than what I just said.
It's okay. We're in a huge merger right now. It used to be Turner Media. Now it's Warner Media that we're under. So, yeah, it's a whole thing.
Interesting. I just read an article that they may consider selling DirecTV. Anyway, that's not important.
It's not important. Let's be honest. At this point in time, is any cable really that important? You just need your various streaming services and HBO, and you're probably good. And I say you need HBO. What you really need is a friend that has HBO. Thanks, Chris. So that you don't have to do that stuff for the other 6 months of the year where I don't care about television. With that, Chris, hey, how are you doing, Chris? We're not ignoring you, I swear.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm great. I've been very much stretching my creative juices. Oh no, I've been doing a lot more writing lately with writing video essays and stuff like that. I always feel like I have different writing different essays at the same time. And I'm doing a lot more art projects. Right now I'm working on a mosaic glass piece of a static shock piece. And so that's taking up I've been working on that 2 or 3 hours a day for the past 2 weeks. And it's a lot of fun. It's putting together a puzzle that you are making at the same time. But I kind of feel like I'm back in high school where I was just at my peak of artistic ability and writing and everything.
No,
That's really exciting. It's probably fun for your kids too, right? you're an adult and you're doing fun stuff, not just lame, boring adult stuff, and setting a good example. That's probably pretty exciting. At least I would think
I'm just up till 1 a.m. just meticulously putting these little pieces on the thing. I look, I'm oh, it's 1 o'clock. Okay. Yeah. Time to go to bed.
So do you find yourself on the video side? Have you found yourself kind of trending more towards heavily scripted pieces?
I am kind of doing more scripted stuff nowadays. I know writing the most recent video of the of the Korra versus Aang. That's not as much fun to write. Some of it is, but it's not that much thought goes. There's a lot of thought that goes into it, but there's not much opinion and not a lot of personal things that go into that. More of those meaning and media videos are kind of like that, or my Iroh Until Life of Iroh video is like that. So I have a media coming up that I should be working on in a couple of weeks, all about Princess and the Frog. I'm somewhat intimidated about doing that because that movie is very close to me, and I feel like I don't even know if I even want to record on camera or just do voiceover with it, because I'm sure I'm going to like probably tear up or something. But
I'm not gonna lie. I would say I would recommend doing voiceover if for no other reason than to keep more Princess and the Frog media on the screen at all times. There's nothing against your mug or anything like that. I just
to
really
get rid of my face. That's what I heard.
I don't want to see your bawling face. No, Princess and the Frog. Fun fact: finished very high in both, and maybe all three. My wife is on that episode, and I might have hit all three of our top 5 favorite Disney movies. I think it might have been the only one to be in all 3 of our top 5 favorite Disney movies. So I just really love that movie in general. So keep more Princess and Frog media up on the screen at all times, and then you can take a moment if you need one. Jaimee, I put Jaimee's. What did I put here? I put something here. There we go. Jaimee's plugs, because I know you write. I don't know if you do any YouTube content or anything, but hey, give yourself a moment to plug your nerdy adventures.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I write for.
Don't thank me. Thank all 5 of our listeners, 3 of whom are literally on the podcast right now.
Yeah, and one of them is a good friend of mine. I know she's.
And the 5th one is in the room right back here. So that's it. That's
we have
all
a couple
5.
more.
That's it.
There's a Rudy on Twitter who listens to us, and I think there's a Amy Lou, I forgot her name, on YouTube that listens to there.
Shout out to Rudy, because I am 0-2 in fantasy football. My team is terrible. Cam Newton is my quarterback, and Jameis Winston is my backup, so obviously neither one of those is panned out. Joe Mixon and Devontae Freeman are my running backs. It's a state of disrepair right now. Rudy, thanks for listening, and I hope your fantasy football season is going better than mine.
Back to Jaimee.
Yeah, sports out of here. What is that?
You live in Atlanta. Devontae Freeman plays for Atlanta, and I'm really mad at him right now. See? Segue.
Oh, okay. Right. Well,
I can't believe you didn't see that coming.
Sorry. I'm not as up to date as you on that. And I am busy, watching TV and doing the stuff that matters, especially for this podcast. No, I write for an entertainment site called The Game of Nerds, and I post a lot of reviews, opinion articles, think pieces, kind of like your meaning in media, except for mine is written instead of in video form. Maybe someday I'll do video, but no, I do that at work, so I don't have time to come back and do that in my free time. No, but it's really fun. I just love to watch stuff and review it and then talk about it. I love analysis. That's what I'm doing right here.
I never thought of it as analysis until we met you. I used to just think of it as like, hey, we like this show. Let's put numbers on it. I'm sure Chris thought of it as more of an analysis thing.
Yeah, it's actually in my YouTube name, but it's okay.
Yeah. I just like numbers and cartoons, but not like big numbers, just small, easily palatable numbers. That's my thing.
And then I had to convince somebody at my college that numbers and animation and TV was worth an entire degree. And it is, because I got it. Definitely. So. Absolutely.
I might have cut Chris off there. If I did, I didn't mean to. Chris, what have your latest video projects done?
So I have the Korra versus Aang, and that has produced,
which was wrong
in a fight.
Yeah,
it was,
hot take. There.
The thing is, so it's funny because I got a lot of comments on there of like, I really respect you just to have the balls to say that Korra would win in all of these fights, and like a lot of people are like, finally somebody wasn't so like show favoritism towards Aang, and they actually said who would win in a fight. So I started to feel like a core self-help group of people like finally joining together. And,
you freed all these people emotionally, Chris. That's very powerful.
The thing is, I back up what I say, and I try to be very thorough. Like even the creators, watch the video. There's 3 different fight scenarios. Even the creators, I think, would say if they had to choose would win in a fight, it would be Korra. And that's just the way it is. Aang is not that type of person.
Fair. It's
2
fair.
notes. I have 2 notes. First of all, Chris, I think you did an excellent. Not actually disagreeing. I think you did an excellent job of presenting a topic that a lot of people present in really poor ways, and I think you handled it very nicely. So first of all, well done. Second of all, like, I can't dispute any of the evidence you presented, but the one line that you did say that it's funny how it just different interpretations. I don't remember if it was Michael or Brian said that like Aang's gonna get away 9 times out of 10, but there's gonna be that one time where Korra catches him and wins. And so it's funny that like in your mind that was sort of maybe like tying 9 times out of 10 and then Korra breaking the tie that one time by actually winning a match. In my head is like, no, that's pure Aang winning 9 times out of 10 and Korra winning 1. That's Aang achieving Aang's goal 9 times out of 10. So it's just funny how it hits different ways to different people. But that being said,
yeah, some people say the same thing. I, for one, have been in physical fights several times, and I've been in, in my younger years. I've not been in a fight since I was like, I don't know, 15 or something,
I really wanted you to say like 30 and then tell us a great story. Whatever, that's
and I'm
fine.
30. Yeah. But one time I was in a fight. It was me versus 2 people. And, I'm doing pretty good in the fight where I'm getting my hits in, doing blocks. And I hit this guy's head really hard and my hand starts to swell up. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to walk away. None of my friends, because I don't know, my hand like was jammed or something. It did start to kind of swell up.
You did the
None
thing.
of my friends said I won that fight. Maybe I didn't lose that fight, but none of them were like, oh yeah, you won that fight. It was more like, oh, good job. You took on 2 people at the same time. And then you knew that your hand swelled up. You couldn't punch him anymore. So even I would say I didn't win that fight. So I don't think Aang is winning.
But you didn't lose that fight. Aang didn't lose 9 times out of 10. And that's what Aang would want.
That's what he was.
That's what Aang's up to.
Here on this podcast, we're about averages.
That's right. We're all... or in that case, perceptions. Like, yeah, if you actually had to pin in a head-to-head fight and somebody had to win and somebody had to lose... I think you made a pretty good case for Korra.
Yeah, which I almost did like the Fox News thing of just like I could just show that part of the clip to support my my piece. instead I showed like the whole thing when they were like, I think it'd be like a stalemate probably, and then Brian comes in and it's like, I watch MMA a lot, and they say this and they say that, like Korra would win. I almost did just give me that one little nugget of information I need to support my argument. But because, I'm objective.
I try to be as objective as political
possible.
Of you, Chris. Very politically correct. Well, you did a nice job. Jaimee, thoughts? Aang versus Korra? Who wins, who loses?
I mean, I obviously watched Chris's video, so I know all the evidence. To me, I think Korra is she's so raw power. I think just, if you put them in a one-on-one fight, I think that Korra probably would win. But I also think that Aang is just, he is evasive by nature and quite a bit, I think he just uses his mind so differently, in the way that he fights against Azula in the drill, which I love that episode. Azula's raw power too, and I don't necessarily, she definitely doesn't win that fight. Even though there are moments when it feels like she's on top, Aang always finds a way. And so I don't know. I think raw power. I mean, Korra's obviously very powerful, but I think Aang I think he's clever. It's that Airbender. It's that mind over matter kind of idea with him. So I don't know. I think he'd find a way to win.
I keep sparring with myself internally because, in a confined space, I think Korra definitely wins. If you look at a one-on-one fighter video game in a confined space, all right, yeah, Korra's gonna win. But what if it's just out in the open world and she just
I agree.
She'd just be tracking Aang until she just died, and then does Aang get to be like, see, I won? What if it's just out in real life? But in a confined space in a little pro bending arena or something like that.
Right. No, completely agree. Yeah.
And that's settled. We settled it. Devil settled it right here.
That's why there has to be 3 on at a time, because one person's always going to lose.
That's right. But at least here we all have come to at least one finite conclusion, which is don't pick a fight with Korra in an alley.
True.
That's really number 1 that we're getting at here. That's the point of this whole podcast. All fights aside, let's go to the episode, unless either one of you guys has more interesting life news or anything to share? I don't.
Now, get to this episode. 'Cause I love
Nah.
Let's do it. Let's get to this episode. This admittedly very interesting episode.
It's
which
wild.
is-
It's a wild episode.
It is. Book 2 Earth, episode 34. It is called The City of Walls and Secrets, and it's when the group first arrives at Ba Sing Se. And the crux of the story is essentially they saved Ba Sing Se from the drill, and so they've been invited to, I guess, to live in a home in the city. They don't really put parameters on it. Like, they're kind of just welcomed into the city, but then not really there for... They're there for their purposes, but I don't know what purposes the Earth Kingdom has for inviting them in there at first. So it's like, hey, just come live in our city as a thank you. It's kind of how I interpreted it. I don't know. Interesting start right away. Like, it's already curious when you're getting started. At least in my opinion.
Shawn, real quick, you don't have to re-record over this, but can I see your video right now, or is that if everything's good with the video and stuff? Because I can't see like you, or myself, where I usually can see myself.
Oh, you're just looking at the PowerPoint. You're right. Let me change what screen we're looking at here. No, that's a good call out. You can normally
I'll
see
keep
the other
talking
thing.
though. I'll keep talking though while you do that.
You want to see
So
this screen.
So you don't have to. Yeah, so you don't have to re-edit. But anyway, so the video.
Yeah, everybody, you're getting this
episode,
candid. I'm definitely not going to edit just for that piece. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, the episode starts off. There we go. They're going into the train. Taking the train into the city, and yeah, they just beat the drill, and Toph like doesn't want to go in the city, which is really interesting because she's just like, there's just a bunch of laws and rules, and then they feel kind of like, hey, we should be able to find Appa, and they go into the city, and the city's just massive. And I think there was some great animation down there. Just really great job of just building the scope of just how huge the city is. Yeah, and so like they're just kind of on the train at that point.
I definitely took note of that first moment as well when we enter Ba Sing Se, because I love this moment because we hear so much about Ba Sing Se before we see it. You know, like so many episodes of build up, like this is the city, this is the place, and then they like come through that wall and just like sprawling metropolis. And I think it's just like one of those moments that was so interesting from a world building perspective. They did a great job adding so much diversity of this landscape, and it definitely kind of puts into perspective. They've been on the road traveling through deserts and through this kind of like barren, ruined landscape. We haven't really been anywhere except for Omashu, which is really small in comparison. So we just haven't seen anything like this in the world yet. And I love this episode so much. They do so much with it. It's like a political intrigue thriller written into this kids show. And a lot of it has to do with just that very first moment when they show us the setting of this place, because it's totally different from anything we've seen before. And this episode is just wild, and they do some crazy stuff in like 24 minutes. It's great.
Yeah, they really built the character of the city like really quick, like in a matter of seconds. And you really get a sense of just the classism in it. They do it through a lot of great like visual cues. Like when they're in that first ring there, like even Judy is like, oh, this is where skilled workers live, and like things just look like the way they dress. Like the clothes are all kind of shattered and stuff. The houses are far more closer to each other. And then, they talk about, oh, like, what is that wall? And then Judy is like, oh, well, we have walls outside to protect ourselves from other people. And we have walls inside to protect our culture. And it's like, no, you just have walls inside so you can build like a class system. And then like the further they go deeper into it, you see the houses get a little bit bigger. You see a little bit more space in there. And then eventually you get to the middle ring where it's just like vast open areas. And it's just like, man, rich people don't need any of this space at all. They just consume it for themselves.
And they like don't hold back from anything. Any part of this episode, they just go like full on about it. Like there's a part like Aang asks like, oh, like what are all these like poor people doing on this part of the city? And there's like hints of violence. The guy's like sharpening his knife, like
Yeah,
back. Like
exactly.
they don't hold back, which is so great because this episode, admittedly, like when the first time I watched it when I was a kid, I don't feel like this one stuck out to me that much because I think I was like binging a bunch of episodes all at once. And this was part of like a really large arc in the middle of the season and in the series. But like I watched this episode now and I'm like, oh, this episode does political commentary, social commentary, better than like, most shows that are on the air right now that are actually aiming to do that. It's just like really fantastically written episode, which we'll get into later as well.
As Shawn eats his popcorn.
I don't want I want you guys to know how uncomfortable I am. So for the viewing audience, hopefully you're just listening audience. If you're a viewing audience, you'll notice that Chris and Jaimee had to share a Google Hangout video chat. And so even while I'm not talking, I just get to be on the screen eating my popcorn, aka dinner, because I don't know how to cook. So you get to learn a lot about behind-the-scenes podcasting right here.
I saw your tweet about frozen burritos that you didn't microwave correctly.
No, I did microwave those correctly. And one is always good, and it's always the one I try first. I'm like, oh, it worked this time. And the second one is always just a chunk of ice. And you're dead on. Anyway, I'm really sorry that I'm visually just here eating my popcorn. I can actually... I could probably hide myself somehow if I was a smarter person, but
no, just keep it there. Anyway,
all right, next, Chris.
Boom! There we go. Go on. I can eat my popcorn in peace.
No, put yourself back up.
Watch me eat popcorn.
And we kind of gloss over this, but we do introduce to Judy, and she is like just so creepy and like sort of Stepford Wives-ish, and
she's jacked up. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, she just has this like. Richter, I don't know if I'm saying this, Ritter smile. Anyway, some type of forced smile, and she's just trying to like get them to. She's handling them, as Toph says. They're like, that was weird, and she just like moves them from place to place, and as they go and visit all these areas, trying to. It's only when they get to like I think it's the middle ring where there's the university and everything. And Sokka's like, oh yeah, university. Yeah, in fact, we met a professor at the university, and we went to the spirit library, and we found things to help us defeat the Fire Nation in a war that we need to go tell one of your generals about. Like, take us to that person.
That's actually one of the there's like 6 plots going on in this episode, all at once. But one of them is that Sokka and Sokka mostly is like really dead set. Like they have to find the Earth King, and they're trying to get this information that they found out about the Day of Black Sun to him, and that's kind of what kicks off Judy's little like that's where we get some of the first instances of. I love this character. Like you feel sort of weary around her, and we don't really know why until obviously the end of the episode, but Sokka's saying, hey, like we need to talk to the Earth King now, this is urgent, and she's like, it's fine, like we'll deal with that later. And just the way that they go about doing it, it's not aggressive, but it is sort of very stern, and it's just you kind of know, you're like, something's up. Don't
Judy,
like that.
Yeah,
she's a great with like a tone setter for the episode, because it's not scary and it's not thrilling, but it's sort of unsettling, maybe is the right word. And she does a great job of like not hitting you in the face with it, but still setting that tone for the entire episode.
So as they go by, they keep bringing up the war. Yeah, she's really weird. Every time they ask a person about the war, like she gives that person like a weird look of like, no, don't say nothing. And it's weird because like they feel straight up threatened by Judy. Like almost like Judy is going to do something herself. Like that's how
it does feel very direct, doesn't it?
Yeah, like almost as if it's aimed at Judy. And at this point in the story, if this was like your first time watching this, all you know is Judy. So all you're thinking is like, why is Judy so threatening? Like is she secretly gonna kill people?
Is she gonna shank
Like,
somebody? Like what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Because it looks like it's gonna be fast. Their reaction's very instantaneous.
I'm just imagining her doing this, like, be quiet. For listeners, I was taking my thumb and caressing it over my neck.
Asterisk. Chris slices thumb across neck in menacing motion.
Yes.
Asterisk.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like it's crazy. Like they wrote this episode and they put like a police state in the city, and just the kind of threatening nature of Judy is, I mean, they give you enough hints in the episode, but it's so expertly done. Like I love that moment at the university where she like shakes her head and tells them not to say anything about the war, which they obviously don't know about. So that's a big moment.
Is this the first appearance of the Dai Li? Is this
Yeah.
the first time we hear about him or see him? It's certainly the first time we see him, but it's the first time we hear about him.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
I think so.
Yeah, basically establishing a. I already forgot the term you used, but it sounded like a good term. Establishing a militant police force in about 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so that's pretty impressive
for sure. And they drive past the Dai Li. You don't know it at first, but they see.
But they look menacing right out of the gate.
Definitely.
So in between these two bullet points, in between the What War and the Bosco's party bullet points, I'm going to jump in just to say that this episode is also low key, really funny. Not like slapstick funny, but
right.
kind of. It's not discreet either. Like we're still talking about a kid's cartoon, but it's a little low key and it's still very clever and humorous. And one we already talked about before we even got on the show is the booger. Like Toph's like talking about she knows how to be a sophisticated lady to sneak in this party. It's a party for Bosco, who we'll introduce in a moment. And she's talking about being sophisticated to Katara, and she flicks this booger, and then you can see it on the ceiling, and it just stays there for several scenes.
Like it stays there for a long time.
It's there for a really long time. Or another piece that I don't want to spoil just yet because we're not quite there, but several instances, or even Sokka's like repetitive segues. He does it to the war like several times, but in different ways each time, like a clever segue into like that's why we got to see the king. It's good every time, and so a lot of maybe subtle comedy here or unintentional comedy maybe. No, I think it's intentional, but
that's very intentional. Like it's so one thing about Avatar does, and also Legend of Korra does it so well also, is like they animate very human, no matter how kind of gross it is, very human
yes, they do.
Movements and stuff. Like I was watching Legend of Korra because I'm kind of doing a rewatch with my daughter again. It's probably her third time rewatching it. Always proud of her. But like Korra's like in her airbending, in her air nomad, garb, and she's like training and kind of trying to meditate with Tenzin, and she just like scratches her butt, and it's not at all like trying to draw attention to it. She's just like, it's just sitting there being taught by Tenzin. And then here, that booger thing. So when I was watching with my daughter, like she sees Toph picking her booger and like flick it. She's like, you see that? It's still stuck there. And then I'm like, just wait. And like, of course being a child, she's like, what? I'm like, just keep waiting. What? I'm like, and that's how long this scene goes on with the booger up there. I'm like, all right, now watch. And like, because then the booger finally comes down. Because at the same time, Sokka and Aang are doing the whole like, oh, we can be royal. And then like, I love Aang. It's like, hi.
Mr. Katara Water, Mrs. Katara Water Tribe.
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Momo of the Momo Dynasty. How is your Momoiness? And then like they just keep like bowing to each other, and eventually they fall off and fall to the ground, and that booger lands on Sokka's head, and it makes like a noise.
Just like it's the tiniest little just the little bittiest noise, but it's precision is what it is. I love it so much.
They did an interesting job of balancing the comedy in this episode, like because it is, it actually kind of strikes me that it is such a heavy episode in terms of like plot as far as like what's actually happening, and then obviously the end is quite dark. But they have this whole middle section where they're up to these antics that I don't even know that they're not even that comparable to other episodes, which just maybe have like Sokka with his one-liners. But this is like a whole scene that goes on for a while, and just in the middle of this episode, and it's perfect. It's great.
This episode's wild. It's all over the place in terms of feelings, emotions, action, comedy.
And it's
kind of hits the whole gambit.
Yeah, I mean, they're kids in the middle of this war and this crisis, and I think it's just really great that the episode takes a moment to remind us of that before it gets back to the political intrigue thriller.
the political thriller comedy episode. That's what this one is.
There's also there's like a not a heist attempt, but it's still a gag where they sneak in. So it's like. Yeah, it's all just kind of everywhere.
But they could easily be framed for a heist attempt, though. The plot structure is there.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Before we get to Katara figures out that she can go to Bosco's party.
I'm really excited to go to Bosco's party.
And then so she brings them like the paper or something. She says like, "All right, the Earth King is having a celebration of his bear's birthday," and then they're like, "Bear? Do you mean?"
His platypus bear? No, it's armadillo bear.
Skunk bear? No, just bear. This place is weird. It's one of the. For some reason, love that joke because
one of the most memorable jokes in the show. That one.
So I don't have that good of a memory, but I did literally just watch the commentary with this episode, and they said that was one of those things that didn't really plan on sticking in the episode, but they really liked how it looked and rolled, and that it just kind of fit the mold of this sort of innocent, ignorant-ish, naive Earth King also. And then it just kind of fit, and so they're like, it just went really well, and everybody loved it, so we left in the regular dumb old bear.
Yeah.
Why not? Hey.
Now I feel like I need to go back and watch the commentary on the DVD because it's not on the Blu-ray, which I had to go back. I gave my DVDs away because the Blu-ray's coming out, and I went back and bought the DVDs because those have commentary on it. So now, the thing is, it's my own fault. My previous DVDs are all bootleg. I got them when I was in college for free. Like someone just like, here you go, here's Avatar. Oh, what am I supposed to do? You know, broke college student. Have $3 in my bank account. Yeah, I love that show.
Well, and to be fair, the DVDs now, like when you say you went back and bought the DVDs again, like it's not like a huge expense. Like DVDs today, it's fine. It's fine. You can have both.
I think I spent $5.
Right. Nobody's gonna judge you. I was a little disappointed to see that not every episode has commentary, and there's not really.
Yeah.
No, I don't watch a lot of commentary because I don't know. It's just not my thing. Sometimes.
I love it.
There's no indication of whether or not certain episodes have commentary until you just click into them. I would love to like.
Oh.
I know it's weird, but I'd love to just they did commentary on this one, that one. See some similarities, differences. I don't know, but whatever. It's interesting from time to time. Not something I do a ton, but yeah. Now they're going to this bear's birthday party.
Excellent.
So they go to the bear's birthday party. Toph and Katara, they get all prettied up. And Aang does tell Katara, or maybe he also tells Toph. He didn't say whose name.
It's very general.
He says, Hey, what's very general? I don't know what the Toph Aang shippers are called. I don't believe in that, but
Tangs.
I may sound like a religion. Is it Tang? I think it is Tang.
Offs. Yeah. I don't know. Both of them sound terrible. I know Jamie's gonna hate them both just because of the name. Toffle. They're Toffle.
They're whatever they're called. They are absolutely terrible. Sorry for any of the fans who like that ship. Not my jam. Not my jam.
You know what? I was trying to come up with a funny argument, but I don't have one. It's probably not a good ship.
You know what?
They're cute kids.
I'm sure.
That's
I'm sure it's a rocky relationship.
Hey-o. Chris, that joke blew right over my head.
Oh.
Anyway.
Water pun. Okay, I'm done. That's fine.
That's a solid joke there.
That-
Anyway.
It's gonna take a second to admire it. No, that needs to.
These jokes are lit.
I was gonna say
There's no firebenders present, but whatever, it's fine.
Sorry, go, Jaimee.
This ship needs to sink right now.
I see what you did there. Ship.
The thing is, though, is that the reason why I think this ship exists, the Toph Aang ship, is because the Zutara shippers are like, well, who should Aang? If Aang's not with Katara, then
Chris
maybe he
is
should
right,
be with
Jaimee.
Toph.
It's you people. It's you people that are starting this nonsense with your garbage.
Listen, I decided to wear my Zutara shirt that I got.
Oh no!
Go.
I'm not pulling your video up. I'm not clicking over to you for that. Cut it
Show
out.
my undying support for this ship. And listen, I can have Zutara and not have Aang and Toph.
Then who is Aang going to be with? And don't say Meng, because I'm not a Meng fan whatsoever. What's left? Nothing. No. There's nothing left for Aang. There's no other women in the world, apparently.
In the massive world of Avatar.
No, nobody else. You know, he could just go and live his own fulfilling life.
He can't. He needs to
terrible.
repopulate the world with airbenders.
Sounds horrible, yeah. He doesn't know harmonic convergence is coming. He's got to do his part.
I'm just going to sip my tea.
You're just going to...
Gosh, all right, we got off track. Where were we at? Oh, okay.
Sip your tea or get muted, Jaimee.
I probably deserve it. It's
I'm very power hungry over here with my mouse and keyboard. Very power hungry. I'm sorry. We were at the party. We were at Bosco's party trying to sneak in, but looking attractive.
Toph and Katara tries to sneak in, and Toph tries to pull that whole Bang Fong card again. That doesn't work, and then Katara being like kind of mean. She's just trying to get into the party. She says that Toph. She goes to Long Fei, not knowing who he is, just knowing that he seems like an important figure because he has like security and everything.
And because he has a deep voice.
Yes.
Dead giveaway.
He is voiced by Clancy Brown. If you don't know who Clancy Brown is,
I do not.
He is Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob.
No kidding.
Yep. It's interesting because when in the commentary for Korra, because he also voices Jakone in season 1 of Legend of Korra. In the commentary for it, Brian and Mike say like, "Yeah, we were writing Long Fei. We were kind of really thinking of Clancy Brown on some movie that they were watching, and like, yeah, we probably can't get him." And so they go to the casting person, and like just for reference, they mention Clancy Brown, and she's like, or he, I forget exactly what. And then she's like, "Yeah, he's like down the hall recording SpongeBob. We can easily get Clancy Brown." He's like, "Oh, cool."
That's fun. And speaking in other Nickelodeon references, in the commentary, there was apparently there was a little Easter egg for Invader Zim fans that I did not catch. And I was disappointed. Now I can't remember what it was, but I love Invader Zim. Go watch the movie on Netflix. It's actually pretty good.
Invader Zim. We're here for.
Yeah, Brian Konietzko animated on that, I believe.
Yeah,
maybe it was a storyboard artist.
Mm-hmm. Nope, it was I believe it was animated. I could be mixed up.
Yeah.
But...
it was animated. I'm just saying. I just think that Brian Konietzko, he worked on Invader Zim. I think as an animator.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As an animator.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
They didn't do a live action Invader Zim, Shawn.
No, big Invader Zim fan, and the Netflix movie isn't like amazing, but it's actually it's kind of nice. It's appropriate. Go watch it.
I haven't watched it yet.
Agree. I will agree with that.
It's a nice hour of your time if you have any love for Invader Zim.
Yeah, welcome back to the universe, and that animation is gorgeous.
Yeah, it is
beautiful.
It's really well done.
Yeah,
very smooth.
I always like Grr.
Yeah. I honestly, I watched so much of Invader Zim when I was young, and I think that has to do a lot with what my personality and tastes became. Like, that show was so far ahead of its time. Like, nobody was ready for it.
I won't spoil it for Chris, because I believe that Chris would genuinely watch it at some point, and not that there's much spoilers. But I do love the part where Zim he's depressed and he's literally just in a pile of nacho cheese on his couch.
In the movie.
So good.
It's a really, really interesting premise. I love that movie. It's really strong.
All right, Chris, you're good. You're fine.
All right.
We didn't spoil anything. It's fine. But okay, we can go back to the party now. I'm sorry, I threw us off.
All right, back to the party. All right, so Long Fei sneaks them in and everything. He does seem like a little very clingy to them, as if, hey, this character is somebody important. He's gonna come back up later.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aang and Sokka sneak in as busboys, and pretty much
talk about the quote really quickly because I took note of this.
Yeah.
So they go to sneak in as busboys, and Aang specifically he goes, "Oh yeah, Katara said that we could, or no, Toph said that we can get in as busboys.
Maybe as busboys, maybe as busboys."
I was like, actually, she said you'll be lucky to pass as busboys.
That's what it is.
And that's very different. That's very different from we could get in as busboys. Like the fact that those two should not have pulled this off at all.
I don't know how they did it. They must have very low standards for busboys.
I mean, I guess.
Also, yeah, I was thinking about this. I was like, where did they get the uniforms from? Did they jump somebody? Because usually, when people go undercover as somebody else, they usually jump someone, knock them out unconscious, and then steal their clothes.
Your hand swells up, and then you steal their uniform.
And then you walk away.
You walk away, and you won.
New headcanon. Sokka took him out with his boomerang. That's a headcanon, Shawn.
Most likely. I've done it. I mean, you did it, but I've done it. I finally made a headcanon.
For listeners, we've been trying to teach Shawn. Wait, this was in the last episode, wasn't it? That you guys were talking about the word headcanon? Yeah, that was.
The last one and the one before, I don't really remember.
Yeah, we've been getting better at using the word headcanon and figuring out what it means. I think that's valid. Took somebody out right
I have such an active imagination, though, that if I think about something, if I think, hey, that's probably what happened, if you ask me again a week later, my head will have manufactured that, yeah, that happened in the show. That's not headcanon, that's actual canon.
Okay, Shawn, listen, as someone who very religiously reads fan fiction, that's a real problem. It actually happens.
Yeah, we just
go back to the series. I'm like, what? Zuko and Katara weren't together in that episode?
Hold on. I thought that was that episode. No, I agree entirely. In my imagination, not just in television, but in real life, I'll think, hey, this is what probably happened. And then if you ask me the next day, it's like, that definitely happened. I saw it with my own imagination. I mean, that's a whole
thing about the criminal justice system, and that eyewitness accounts are not necessarily
rough,
very useful.
Yes.
People can easily fabricate and trick their minds into thinking something. One time, this lady completely said that she might just be racist. That me and my friends stole somebody's lawnmower. And she's like, yeah, them. It wasn't us.
She's either racist or I'm still racist, but maybe in a less mean way, where she just one of those people where it's like, oh, all black people look the same, and it was a black person.
Well, no, it was
still
a
racist,
white
but
kid.
a different kind of racist.
It was a little white kid who ended up stealing the lawnmower of this one guy.
Okay, so she was just way wrong. Then
so she was racist.
Just the first racist. Gotcha.
Was it 3 fairly tall black teenagers? Well, not
or
tall,
one
tall,
short white kid.
Or relatively.
And in her mind, it's like, well, one more opportunity to get 3 tall black kids in trouble. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, Mandela effect, and it's tricking your own mind into believing things. I mean, it's happened to me in Avatar and also in animated stuff. For some reason, when they first aired, we're going to skip to a couple episodes. But when something happens to Jet, everyone's seen this show. When Jet dies, I
that was a sigh of relief I was breathing just there. Did you guys hear that?
Gosh, what's his name? But
I am. It'll come out. Don't be talking about my boy like that.
Dang it! What's the archer's name? For some reason, I can't think of his name. Longshot. So when Longshot tells him, finally talks, don't worry about him. We'll take care of him. He's our leader. I thought that he turned around, and because he knew Jet was in pain, that he killed Jet off camera.
Just in cold blood. That's
Well, no,
way
so that he
better.
can,
That's way better.
so he can put Jet, so he can put Jet out of his misery because Jet was gonna die anyway. So like for some reason, I had that in my head that Longshot killed Jet when he said he's gonna take care of him, and the camera goes away.
You know
Yeah.
what? But here's the thing. As we all know, it's a little unclear about exactly what happened to him. So
Maybe, yeah.
it could have happened.
See, Chris, probably
Canon.
can we say there's certain times where it's pretty harmless, but it still probably leads to a worse habit. Like you guys saying, Sokka knocked a couple of guys upside the head with a boomerang just to steal their outfits. Like that's moderately harmless. That could be true. But then there's times where you're like, long shot killed Jet. It happens.
Yeah, I would say that's more of a theory than a headcanon. That's a theory.
It's fun either way.
It's fun either way. Yeah.
Way to go, long shot. Somebody had to do it.
All right, man. I'm glad we're
poorly
only doing one
representative
episode
of me
today.
as a human. I'm like 100% pacifist and forgiving, but if it's in television, for some reason, I take a way harsher stance. Like lower stakes. It's on TV. It's
Definitely, he was killed. Definitely,
fine.
he was murdered. Actually,
Bosco's party. Let's get to that one real quick.
it's a long
so
race.
party.
It is.
They're enjoying their time, sipping some wine.
I love the part where they're sitting at the table with the bear, and it's the first time we see the bear, I think. And one guy's complaining, he's like, he's taking all the good stuff. And the other guy's like, shh, you don't know what I had to do to get seats this close to the bear. And then Bosco just like swipes at both of them and jumps on the table and starts eating all the food. I don't know why. That's not low-key humor. That's just stupid slapstick, but that's my kind of stupid slapstick.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think it's just such a weird perspective. I think that's the thing too about this episode is that we move around so many times,
all over the place. Yeah, it jumps.
The main character,
For better or worse.
Yeah. So we get these like weird side moments. This is I don't know. It just builds to the whole feeling of this episode. That's just like, what's even happening? What show are we in? What world are we in? What's going on?
Why is there a regular bear eating lunch?
Oh shit.
And a fairly tame bear too.
Yeah, it seems
like he's not eating other people. He's
well
just like
tempered. Yeah,
he looks like me with endless shrimp, which you can go to Red Lobster right now for $15.99 and get endless. They're not paid.
You could do that, or you could spend your $15.99 on something less gross than shrimp. I don't know. That's something less bad than shrimp.
You could buy like 5 DVDs of the entire Avatar series.
With commentary. That's funny because I was gonna say I'm a big fan of Quick Trip. I was gonna be like, you go to Quick Trip and get like 8 slices of pizza for that. I don't know, whatever, it's fine. So at this party,
Chris, what happens now?
Well, yeah, tell us. I'll shut up.
Yeah, pretty much. The bear's eating stuff. Toph finds Aang because she can sense where his twinkly toes are at. And apparently someone figures out that Aang is the Avatar and he distracts them all. Eventually the Earth King is there.
It's when he blow dries that lady off after he spills stuff on her. And then he blow dries her off and then they're like, hey.
Who's that? Oh yeah. Question. If they don't know that the war is going on, do they also not know that the Avatar is back? Like, should they be shocked by this?
Yeah, that should be like new news, not old news. That should be kind of a big deal. Maybe.
Or just like, oh crap, an Airbender. Like, or maybe they don't. Or no, she says the Avatar.
Yeah, she clearly says the Avatar.
Yeah, she says the Avatar.
Maybe it was announced like, hey, the Avatar, but no. Never mind.
Some information has to get out, right? So like when you are a ran state, like they probably let some information come out. That way they can't be like, oh, hey, there's no such thing as the outside world. It's only us. Like they got to let some plausible information in that makes everybody think like, oh yeah, they're being truthful with us. Like they're giving us some information. The Avatar is back. He's going for a while for some reason.
Those people of Team Avatar interrogated, they clearly knew there was a war going on. They just weren't allowed to talk about it. So, okay, I get it.
And news about the Avatar, like that's kind of too big to not let spread around.
And it's positive news. Avatar's back. That's good for everybody.
Yeah, right?
I think.
Either that, or they were just lied to and they were told the Avatar is some like circus act, like Chris Angel or something. We booked him for this party.
Right, he was just brought in as like an act. Like, hey, watch, he's gonna do all 4 kinds of bending. And then he's back. He also, at one point, he's just playing with the bear. He's just doing tricks.
I'm gonna be right back. I have to go get a charger.
We talked so long about... Alright, we won't cover anything important. Jaimee, let's talk about Aang doing tricks for these bears.
Okay.
I do really love... It's so pure Aang that, like, he does tricks for the whole group, and he's like, I'm gonna go see the king. And then when the camera pans over to the Dai Li starts, like, sort of covertly capturing people with their little clay gloves. And then it cuts to Aang, and he's like doing tricks for Bosco. Like he's like twirling balls in front of like colorful air bubbles in front of Bosco. It's like that's pure Aang right there.
Those earthbending hand things that they use, those are sweet. Like that's a really cool design moment. That up some of my audio visual points because they used that a couple times later in the episode.
It doesn't piss me off that Toph can't sense them. I'm okay with that, given that they fly through the air. Even though at previous points we've seen Toph be able to sense similar things. It does piss me off that Toph doesn't outbend them. Like, Toph is probably the second best airbender, or earthbender, excuse me, that we've seen ever.
Right.
You're telling me she can't fight off these clowns with some gloves, like, or at least cause a ruckus. Like, she's not gonna just disappear. So that part makes me a little mad that Toph is so easily captured by these police clowns.
Well, maybe, I mean, I don't really, like, this episode moves at such a strange pace, and we move from, like, place to place so quickly that it's not very, like, after Toph is kind of taken away, it's not exactly clear what their intentions are, and really, because after that, Li Fang just comes out, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm the head of the Dai Li and everything,
cultural
and then
minister to the king or some crap.
Yeah, so it's not like they're being captured because they let them go.
I know, but they were initially, right, like they were clearly captured in a hostile way. And I was like, Toph would so fight back, she would cause a stir. Those clay gloves would be slapping those police guys back in their own faces. Sure. Like,
I don't know. Maybe it was just like shock, and then she figured out they weren't actually in danger. Yeah, it's a little bit of a plot hole, but sometimes that happens.
It does, and we have to... I'll call it a plot convenience. It's not like a plot hole. It's a plot convenience that we have to brush off. But it's a little sad. Like, come on, Toph. You can take those clowns.
Right.
Just the po-po, Toph. Come on. Hi, Chris. Did you find a charger? Chris, we handled the podcast with grace and elegance while you were gone.
Good.
We had no idea where we were in the episode because you weren't there to guide us, but...
This podcast is about as directive as the episode that we're talking about here. We've had so many breaks. We had wrong screens showing. Extra people going. It's crazy in here. It's chaos. It's absolute chaos.
Do you guys already go over the Long Fei reveal?
Kind of. We just got to the part where we're talking about Toph and Katara being captured and Sokka as well. And now Aang, he was rolling right up to the Earth King, presumably. Like it was a carriage. It was supposed to be another thing I don't like. That just goes away. You just don't see that anymore. He's rolling up to it.
It's weird.
And then it goes away, and then he's at Long Fang, and I assume that's what you're getting at here with like a true reveal.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he goes away because, I mean, as Long Fei says before, like, he's just a puppet. And if this puppet is around even more and he's around longer, like more people will see the strings on the puppet. Yeah, like, so it's just like, let me just splash him and show him and then completely move him away.
Yeah.
He can't really converse with anybody.
It's another one. Again, I'm just going to call it a plot convenience and brush it aside because it's not that big a deal. But it's like, he was clearly strolling through like at a nice casual pace. Like, Aang would have caught up. He was going right towards him. And then he's just not there. Like, come on. Whatever, it's fine. It's fine.
I just get the feeling that this was supposed to be a longer episode, like, or that this could have been, like, more stuff should have happened, but it's a regular length episode.
They made other cuts so that the booger scene could survive.
Could last longer.
That's right. That's what really happened.
Yep.
Thank you for making the tough choices that we are not entitled to make, creators. We appreciate it.
Which side note, I'm still waiting on them to get back at me about being on the podcast.
I'm really
It's
sad
like
that we did not get like zero love. I'm so disappointed. Whatever,
it's like
fine.
day 9.
You know
You know,
what? Keep
every
faith.
day I check my
Keep faith.
every day I check my I go to Instagram for 2 things. I check back on my email with them, see if they're written back. And also I look at this art by Keikachi95. She does some amazing fan art, especially of the Rise of Kyoshi book.
Yes.
Yeah, check that out because she really does she really brings that book to life. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we're going to Instagram to see her stuff and to see if like, hey, maybe Mike and Brian did see my message and get back at me on that.
Maybe they saw my message from 2018 and they're finally ready.
We have the time. Don't you worry. Keep faith. You just gotta. I don't know. I think you can do it. You'll get them on. Just gotta believe. I mean, listen. If like.
What a positive message. Just keep believing.
You gotta.
I think
gotta hope. Keep the faith.
one of the reasons why I like did that because I was watching this really old like podcast or video review thing like way before people were doing like reactions to stuff. Like this group called Yum Chucks. They actually had Mike and Brian on their podcast, and this is a fairly small podcast too. I'm like, I wonder what they come on because they were talking about Korra because it was around the time when Korra was wrapping up, and Mike and Brian were both like physically there with them. I thought, you know what? I'll ask them if they want to join us.
Chris, I had a headcanon that as to why it was wrong, as to why you asked them that day. It was because I saw on Twitter the origins of the Swaggy P meme. Like, I believe he's talking with his mother and she says something crazy and he kind of gives that look. The original video of that was circling on Twitter, and I was like, Chris said something about shooters gonna shoot, and that's like pure Swaggy P right there. He saw that meme, he's like, I'm gonna go take my Swaggy P shot. And that was my headcanon as to why you did what you did.
I mean,
it's gone now, it's fine.
Yeah, shoot your shot.
Perpetual believer. If I've taken every single shot that is even remotely wait, I asked to be on this podcast.
It's true. And by nature of being the first human to interact with us.
Congratulations. You want the secret like Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory type of competition.
Congratulations.
All I'm saying is
we'll just keep
or we should just be
John
mean
Mulaney
to you the whole time.
Yeah.
And be weirdly deranged.
I mean,
you little girl, you know nothing about Avatar.
But
congratulations, you must be the mother. Anybody? Huh? He's gonna get on our podcast.
That first episode, I came super prepared. Today, we came a little less prepared, but we're still here.
I don't know if you noticed this about our preparation style, which involves watching the episode.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
And that's really about it. To be fair, I watched it twice this time, so I'm doubly prepared. But
I took.
All right, back to. Oh, keep going.
No, you're right. We got to get back. We're an hour in, and
we're almost to the end. We're good. We're good.
Yeah,
right.
But we have to get to a very
sort of
important
there.
scene that I know that Jamie's gonna dig, and it's time that we jump over to that side story. I think.
Yeah, the B plot here, which there really isn't that much. It's really just
Not
Jet
much, yeah.
being like really conspiracy theory like, where he just out of context. If you don't know what Jet knows, he sounds crazy. And all of these situations he's in, whenever he talks to anybody, it's just like they're Fire Nation. So Jet is just on a mission to prove to everybody that Zuko and Iroh are Fire Nation. Which one thing is this dumb mission to begin with? Because at one point he steals like their little rock lighter thing, so then they can firebend their tea. But even if you saw Iroh firebending, that's not proof that he can show somebody. It would just be him saying the same thing that he was saying before, that they're firebenders.
I think for him it's more just like, because before he didn't see Iroh heat the tea. He just at the before they
saw
were,
the tea.
Yeah.
he saw the, yeah, he didn't see the actual action, so it is just like an assumption that he's making at this point. Which all right. Shawn, I know you don't like Jet, but I love Jet.
Just because he's right doesn't mean he's not a
No,
douchebag.
it's not just because he's right. I think well, he is right. Let's just start there.
He
He's
is
right.
fine. I'll give you that. He had a hunch. He had a headcanon.
Jet was right.
A headcanon that happened to be accurate.
Okay, it's not a headcanon because he was right.
He doesn't know that he's right, so it's a headcanon. He thinks he's right. That's why it's a headcanon.
We're still working on that word. It's
no,
okay.
it's.
Okay, wait. You sound so much like an English teacher working with a student who's just not like, okay, today we're working on this word, and you're almost there.
I know it's hard to pronounce. Headcanon.
Well,
no.
okay.
You know what? No, hold on. Before we get any farther, Jet. First of all, if you put Jet in real life, he's just like a crazy extremist, like a political extremist or something that everybody else would love to hate. But for some reason, he's an ugly cartoon kid in a TV show that even the creators and the commentary, they're like, half the ladies are like, yeah, we think he's a handsome cartoon character. And the other half are like, he's hideous. And I don't get that either. Also, those weapons are so impractical and poorly.
I love them. I love those
because
weapons.
they're not realistic or possible. He's using them like swords. They're clearly rounded,
those aren't real weapons though.
They're clearly rounded hooks with points. They're not sharp swords. It's wrong. It's dumb. All right.
Is that Jet's fault though? Those are real life weapons that like.
But they're rounded, and he uses them like swords. They cut through things like swords, but they would not cut through things like swords. They would not.
I think they would cut through things like, as long as it has an edge. He cuts through a table
with him, Chris. A table with a rounded.
You can cut through things.
He cuts through a table with him.
You can cut.
No.
Yeah, well, that sharp part is still rounded.
No, I agree with Shawn.
He does.
I don't know how this would work.
Going away. I'm done. Y'all can talk amongst yourselves.
And he does. I think he uses them fairly well. Especially in that fight with Aang. He does a lot of that hooking on trees, hooking on things.
That's fine. I'm okay with those things. That's okay. He cuts through a table with a rounded stick.
You know what? I'm gonna pull up video of someone using these swords. And I'm pretty sure their probably name is Sword, and you're gonna be proven wrong on this. I think.
Bring it on! Let's do it. Not right now. Next episode, I presume. That's fine, because he's in the next episode.
You've already.
Yeah, he's got a good presence in the next episode too, so we'll do it then.
Oh yeah, really good.
You find your video evidence, and I will happily display it.
Yeah, but you've been proven wrong because last time you thought not a lot of people hated Jet. We did that poll.
I was definitely wrong. So many people hate Jet. But it's fine. I was so happy to see how many people hated Jet.
Okay, can I please I would like to make my case for Jet.
First, one more piece of information is that just for those out there, the poll finished like roughly 50-50.
It's a Twitter poll. I did do a poll on the two Facebook groups, one that Shawn is part of and one that Jaimee is part of, that I'm part of both. It was worse on Twitter.
It was even
it was worse on the Facebook groups. It was probably like 65% hated Jet.
Super hated Jet. And I think that's appropriate that 65%. If he was a real life human, 95% of people would hate Jet. 95. Okay, Jaimee, go ahead.
I like that. But yeah, go ahead.
I can totally understand the Jet hate. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's flawless by any means. He's extremely flawed. However, okay, so in his episode, in Jet, he makes a pretty extreme decision. He is on the right side of justice, but kind of doing it, getting there the way, way, way wrong way. So, really, like, his work is means to an end, and that's not great. But in these episodes, like, back to what we were saying, like, he's like making an assumption about them, and it does sound crazy, but I think, like, I constantly go back to the fact that these are, he's not very old. He's probably like 17, 18, like
probably 15, 16, I think.
Yeah, so even younger, right? So, like, again, like, we talk about this all the time. Teenagers are dumb.
Yeah,
and
they are.
jump to conclusions so much.
Sorry, teenagers, if you're listening. We mean that in a generic way, not specifically personally attacking.
No, we were. I mean, everybody was a teenager, and we were all dumb.
I'm still dumb to this day. I'm not dumb enough to try to use a rounded weapon to cut through a table, but I'm pretty dumb.
But yeah, like the point is that like they're irrational by nature, but even more so, this is a kid who's been like terribly affected by this war, and specifically affected by firebenders. So when he thinks that firebenders are in this place that's supposed to be a sanctuary, doesn't it make sense that he would kind of jump to that conclusion? And then let's he's right. Like he's not wrong.
You know what? So I'm about to share a personal piece of information here. Sorry if this gets too dark. My wife, when she was very young, her mother passed away from melanoma. Jet is like if my wife went out and got mad at anybody who went outside with sunscreen and she just got violently mad at them. That's Jet. That's the same
That's a
thing.
little strong because like that's a little bit different.
Why can't there be good firebenders? Why can't there be firebenders that are good people?
I mean, there can be and there are, but I'm saying to as far as like to Jet's reaction.
Jet's a racist. That's what I'm looking for. This whole thing. He's a racist. I won't.
Okay.
Yeah, but Katara sort of is too at this point until she grows kind of out of it.
Right. No,
but she's a cute racist, so we'll forgive it.
Oh boy.
No, you're right. She is kind of a racist at this point.
If we're gonna make like that's interesting.
It is kind of. I never thought of that.
If we're going to use this to compare to racism, that's a whole bunch of implications.
You're right.
Yeah. At one point, Sokka is like, someone asked, I think it's Zuko, who says like, "Your sister hates me," and Sokka's like, "Oh, Katara doesn't hate anybody. I mean, Fire Nation people, yeah." And like, oh, okay, that's.
Yeah, it is very like it is.
That's kind of racism. You're right. I'll give you that.
But again, like everything, like the context changes a little bit when you consider that they are currently in a war, and the Fire Nation are the oppressors and the attackers. So that would be like implying that there's reverse racism, which there's not. So like it doesn't exactly work.
That's a whole podcast right there by itself. Like reverse racism. Like, is it real?
Yeah.
That's the
it's
title
like
right there.
You know, Jewish people during World War II, they have good reason to hate all Germans.
Right.
Well, not really. I mean, although Nazi invaded Germany first, there was German.
That is such a clickbait title that I almost want to make a fake video about it and just be like, no, and that's the whole video.
Yeah. Right. So like that all comes with a whole set of sub restrictions and implications when we talk about whether or not this actually is racism. But I think back to the point that we're trying to get to about Jet. Yes, he's irrational in making this claim, but he is right. And so like but he's always been the kind of person that he doesn't care about the consequences of his actions so long as they achieve his goal. So he steals from Iroh, which is, not a good thing. Stealing from people is not good. He's spying on them. He's become obsessed with them. Yeah. So I like Jet because I think he's a really good sort of like diluted character as far as like what has this war done to people? How has it affected people? It's something that I love that the show goes into that I still wish they could go into more, which is one of my big hopes for the live action. That's why I love him. I love him because he's a very like, he does seem crazy and irrational, and war is what does that to people. And you kind of he's that gray area that I don't think it ever really gets resolved. And it's kind of one of my favorite parts of the series altogether. So
Chris, what show is it on ESPN where the host gets to mute the people that say things that he just generically doesn't like? Pardon the interruption? Is that what that is?
Yes. No, not part of the interruption. Around the horn.
Around the horn, that's right.
I just had that whole beautifully articulated speech, and you're just like mute. I never want to hear it again.
Hey, I stated from the beginning.
You know what, Jaimee? Jaimee, do you hear this? Same page. Same page as you.
Sweet.
This is I said it from the beginning. I'm very very tyrannical with the keyboard. I'm a tyrant. I can't help myself. That being said, that was a beautiful Jet speech. Thankfully, about 60% of all Avatar fans agree with me, so whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, well,
He's got redeeming qualities, not in this episode.
it's not so much about redeeming him. It's about like recognizing what his purpose is in the show and what it represents.
That's so accurate. That's probably so accurate and true that I'm just gonna ignore it. just
All right,
so I don't have to backtrack all of my statements because you're right. Stop it.
All right, back to the episode. Or were you about to say something?
Yeah, no, this is a great. It is a great scene though when he confronts them in the tea shop.
Yes.
You know, he's been staked out this whole time. He's tired. He's rugged. He breaks in. He's like, I'm tired of waiting. Basically, gonna coax it out of you by starting a fight in your tea shop, and you're gonna have to firebend to defend yourself. He probably is not aware that Zuko is also pretty handy with a sword.
Heck yeah, my boy.
This is a really great fight that just really displays that Zuko is more than just a firebender. He is a really great sword fighter, and he learned from Master P and Dao. And it just so happens that there were some dual swords on hand, very convenient for him. But nonetheless, I don't care. I'll let that pass because I love this fight of just two different dual swords going in at each other, and just the choreography, like, and the way that they do references for the choreographies. They actually do the movements at like a gym at Nickelodeon, and I'm really curious how they did this one because this seems to be like way more intricate. A lot of props are like this reminds me of a Jackie Chan fight.
Yes,
right? Like,
and actually,
all right, we're gonna.
And it does have that transition in the middle when it cuts in and out, when it's like chopping in between the A story and the B story. And they have that one transition where like they're about to strike and it kind of like lights out for a second, which is very reminiscent of like old kind of action fight movies. And yeah, the way that they use props, they're jumping on the table. They're doing some interesting choreography that doesn't look like the stuff that we've seen before. Yeah, it's a cool fight. It's great.
Chris,
Yeah,
I think the commentary for this one said they spilled out into the parking lot even for like space.
Like, really?
They
Wow.
ended up in like the parking lot doing some of it, and it looked really crazy.
Honestly, like whoever idea it was to get Zuko and Jet together in the same place for a fight, like they give them a raise. Honestly.
I never thought there'd be an occasion where I liked Zuko next to more than the person he was fighting. But it was very obvious. Like you got the best version of Zuko over here serving tea, and then Jet comes in. Whatever it is.
I like how you think that the best version of Zuko is the one where he just doesn't talk at all.
It's the one where he is contemplative and what's the word? He's in like a learning mode. He's in like an absorbing mode. He's taking in lessons from his uncle about life. I have a great quote. Hey, after this slide, I have my favorite quote of the whole. You can probably guess what one it is, but we'll save it for after we get to the episode.
Won't ruin it.
It's a great version of Zuko. I like him a lot in this episode and the next episode.
Yeah. So this fight is happening at the same time that Long Fei is talking to Team Avatar just about how he's controlling everything and how if they talk about the war, it would ruin their economy, it would ruin everything, and how the war cannot be inside the walls and the war is only happening outside the walls and there is no war in Ba Sing Se. And at the same time, they mirror that with Jet being captured by the Dai Li and then him being brainwashed and him being like, that scene is like, it's somewhat haunting, right? Because Jet is like, the guy is like, there's no war in Ba Sing Se. And Jet is like, what are you talking about? Where do you think the refugees come from?
Yeah.
Like,
they're like,
it reminds me. Yeah, it reminds me of this Mel Gibson movie, which I don't remember what it was. But I remember as a kid watching it, like, because they hold his eyes open, they like tape his eyelids open. It makes him like watch something that's somewhat like brainwashing him. I forget the movie.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is a that they don't hold back in any part of it. You have, Jet saying like, where do you think the refugees are coming from? Again, I kind of take note of any time that they use like these huge mature phrases and ideas like refugees and black market, which Sokka says earlier, and some of my favorites.
Yes.
In the next couple episodes, they are constantly talking about a coup. They never explain what a coup is in the context of the show. They never really explain what refugees are in the context of the show. And again, they just don't hold back here. They just go all in. And I love that they never doubt their audience, and they never
exactly.
And it leaves this last scene really like leaves a mark on people's minds. What else?
Yeah. Then pretty much the episode ends.
And it's a little anticlimactic, but I do know that they get like the stern talking to from Longfeng of if you need to cooperate, or if you ever want to see your bison again, something in that lines, like blackmail. So pure black. Hey, there's another. They don't say blackmail in the show, but it is obviously a pretty harsh concept. But it is a little anticlimactic at the end.
Really, I think it's very climactic at the end because.
Well, I mean, I don't even remember how. I don't even remember how it ends, and there's not a lot of.
You don't?
There's not like gratifying closure or anything, right? It just.
I agree with you, Shawn.
The last shot is like creepy. The last shot is really creepy, actually. I think.
Which one's the last shot?
Yeah, but like I think it's of Jet being brainwashed. I think
remember, because they say, we'll have Judy escort you back, and then Judy comes in, and it's
right.
Yeah, it has to be different Judy. Which that kind of just really stuck with me. It's always kind of okay. This is another thing. Like before we talk about like how memorable this episode is, like so before the first time I watched it as a kid, I don't think that the end of this episode stuck with me because it has like, and the music they use is really creepy, but this whole episode as a concept didn't really stick with me because honestly, I think a lot of it went over my head as a kid. Like I think what was actually going on, I didn't quite get it. And as I'm older, I watch this episode and I just constantly think about this episode. This is one of the most memorable episodes to me now because of this like last scene here. And also just because like the idea that they're kind of policing this city so hard, and it's just it really sticks with me. And there was like a meme recently, like someone used the Judy with the "There's no war in Boston" say as like a meme, and then like on Twitter, and like like 40,000 people recognized it, and to me that stuck out. I was like, oh my gosh,
that's awesome!
That is how memorable this moment is. People recognized it instantly, which is kind of crazy.
As usual, I'm articulating myself poorly, but I will say it's almost like a to be continued episode in the sense that there's no gratification or closure whatsoever at the end. You don't leave feeling good or anything like that. So maybe that's a better way to put it.
Yeah, I got you.
And
and then I think Zuko and Jet's fight does end anticlimactically with not a clear victor. Like the guy, we just take him and go. So that could be part of it.
Yeah.
He didn't just walk away. He was pulled away. No, I feel like Zuko was winning. There was not a clear victor, but I feel like Zuko was winning without firebending.
I think so.
I think so. But it was a good fight.
I do think that his dual swords, I think would have overpowered Jet's eventually. I feel like Zuko's swords could have like slashed through those things.
I know those things are metal, but I think of like rebar with like a little hook at the end. I can't, I genuinely, Chris, I can't wait to learn more about whatever those weapons are. Send me some images.
I don't see why you wouldn't think, like, imagine, right, so if you have like a pole, a wooden block, right, and you see like, I don't know, samurais cutting it and the block cuts. They don't cut it with the tip of it, like they cut it with the middle of the sword. Like to me,
but
a curved sword.
It's a sharpened edge. As
the edge to this sword.
This is rounded like a pole, as opposed to a sword.
No, it's a sword. It's sharpened on the edge of there. It just sharpens all. No, it's not sharpened on the inside of it. Just like a lot of swords aren't. Like you have that side that's sharpened. It's just like a regular sword. Just that it has like more metal at the end of it.
I never assumed that that's what they were. I actually thought that they were like pieces of like piping or something, or some sort of like tool that he
It's
kind
almost
of
like a halberd is what I was picturing.
that kind of like he turns into a weapon, but it
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be a weapon. But I guess I don't know.
He
But
probably
I
stole it from some helpless old man.
yeah, just because of like the way that he's sort of like dressed and what he does, like I thought they were like some sort of tool that he turned into weapons.
I'm legitimately interested to learn more, and perhaps I will retract my statements. But I probably won't. But I might.
You've yet to retract a statement, so
That's not true. I'm always happy to admit when I lose. Here
Well,
because it's
that's
just
never. I'm kidding.
because it's just a TV show. Hey, I won this one. People hate Jet. People agree with me. I don't have to have reasons. I have popularity.
You didn't win the discussion.
Popular vote.
I would be more upset, except that I tend to side with the people that people hate. So with the characters, let me rephrase, characters, fictional,
Right, not real people.
not real people.
I would like to think we're all pretty non-hating sort of humans in real life.
Right.
Shows difference for you.
I have a lot of sympathy for complex and often hated characters.
I will say that there is a fine difference between characters. The characters that you're supposed to hate, I can accept that they're doing their job, and I can still hate them. I can accept they're doing it well. I always hate the characters I'm supposed to hate. I watch wrestling, I hate the heels because I'm supposed to. But it's like, no, I still hate them. Like, they're successfully achieving their purpose, but that's kind of a different argument in my mind, I guess. But
Yeah.
regardless. I pulled out a quote. Do you guys want to guess what it is? It was an Iroh quote from this episode that
I can
resonates
tell you
really
exactly what
strongly.
it is, probably.
Go ahead. No.
Life is wherever you make it.
Yay. Got it. I love that quote.
Yay.
That's really powerful to me because I'm always planning the next big thing and I don't always live in the moment as well as I should. So every time I hear that one, it hits me home a little bit. So great quote. Thanks, Iroh.
Thanks, Iroh. Oh my gosh, you should end every episode with an Iroh quote.
I could. That would be what a cute. You know what? I should have.
It's a very good
I should
idea.
have done it because we don't really ever know how to close. We just kind of ramble until we get bored. Then we stop.
It's like, all right, we're done talking now.
Well, and I don't know. I enjoy that, but maybe you're right. We'll slap this at the end after the ratings next time. Good feedback. Good feedback.
But it has to be from that episode that Iroh said. I don't know. Once we get to season 3, we can't do that.
Sometimes. Yeah, we'll have to cheat sometimes.
Yeah.
But most episodes that Iroh is in, we're going to have an
Close.
opportunity, so it's fine. We'll have to cheat sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, you can make up for it with all the episodes that you didn't do it on.
Yeah, I've got some backfill,
True.
especially the let me get it right. Pride is not the opposite of shame, but rather its source. That's still my favorite to this point.
Yeah, we called that one out a lot in that one episode because I love that. That one hit me hard for some reason because I was like, that is so freaking logical, and I never heard that.
Say it hits hard
that
because
way
it's
before.
so true.
Yeah, that's a good episode, man.
I have rethink my whole life moments when I hear that quote. But Iroh, now there's a character that if you hate Iroh, well,
if you hate Iroh, you're not.
Are you even a real person?
Who are you?
Really human? Oh, next episode is a great. I keep talking about next episode. I don't love next episode. I really don't even like next episode. But Iroh and Zuko's little side stories in next episode are pretty interesting.
I love Zuko's whole complex in the next episode.
Yeah,
Not
it's very
I
interesting.
to feel that way, but I love what he has to go through.
Yeah, me too. But again, I don't want to spoil it other than that I don't really like the rest of the episode all that much. But anyways, let's start with Chris's ratings.
All right, audiovisual gave it a 9, mostly because of that Jet and Zuko fight. Thought it was amazingly done, amazingly choreographed, great music and everything. Also, I love just entering the city of Ba Sing Se, really just create a huge scope and scale of the area. So that gets a 9. Story gets an 8.5, mostly just because of all the fairly subtle themes that this episode had, whether it was about just how police state does or society, classism, things like that. All that was really interesting. So that gets an 8.5. Memorable, not my most memorable episode. There's not necessarily like one moment that I always have to go back and rewatch. So that gets a 7.5 out of 10. That brings my score to an 8.5. That's pretty pretty good. Yeah, it's great actually.
It ranks very respectably in your larger list.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, we were super duper close this time. I went 8.5 on audiovisual, but I did that before I watched the commentary, which I think is the fair way to do it. After I watched the commentary, I probably could have been even more generous there. But I think keeping it in its earnest state, a lot of good visual, interesting things, good fight scene. Not a ton of variation, but it's great. It's great. Story 8.5, same reasons. This episode's story is like the crossroads of so many different stories. It doesn't stand alone very well at all, but which is usually what I look for. But there's just so many different exciting things happening and coming to pivotal forks in the proverbial road here. It's very engaging, memorable. I'd say the same thing. It's not that it's not important or special. It is good. 8's still good. Just probably not like tip top of my list of ones that I think of first. Still very respectable. 8.4. Nothing wrong with that. And as a special aside, we have some ratings from Jaimee.
Hey. Yeah, audiovisual, I gave this a 7.5, which ended up lower than you guys, and I think it's mostly because I think this would have rated higher if the Jet Zuko fight would have been longer, because it was great choreography, but it was so short.
It was pretty short-lived, wasn't it?
Yeah. Story, I rated this one higher. I gave this one a 9, which was higher than both of you guys gave, but I, as a person who wants to write television and is very script and story oriented, this is a masterful script. I love everything that they do with this script, the way that they tie in things, the way that it moves from one plot to another, and that there's about 5 or 6 stories that I can pull out of this episode alone. And then again, all with its social commentary, its introduction to a new setting, and it's the beginning of a huge arc that goes through the end of this season. So yeah, it's a big one for me. I love this story. And memorable, I gave this one an 8, which sounded low when you guys said it, but for me, 8 is pretty high on the memorable list because it has a couple things that really stand out in my mind, like I've talked about. And I definitely, the older I get, the more I think about this show in its whole and its context. This one really does come back to me a lot. So that one's pretty high, actually, for me. So yeah, total 8.3, a very respectable score. Again, it's not like the greatest episode, like in the grand scheme of everything, but it's definitely up there. Probably top 10 for me.
We fall into a trap. I think both, I'll speak for Chris and myself, I won't speak for you, but we fall into a trap of where 8's almost become like an average and they almost seem like a slight sometimes. You gotta remember, like 8 out of 10, that's still a lot of my schoolwork right there. I mean, that's fine.
I kind of recognize that you guys score up a little bit. I was like, oh, like if you gave something like a 5 now, it would feel like we're like, this is the worst episode ever. I
still think those types of things can happen, but like if stuff's getting 4s and 5s, I'm like boycotting it as television in the sense of like this is bad enough that you don't actually have to watch it. You can literally just actively bypass this episode.
Yeah,
and it just doesn't happen in this show. But again, that becomes a trap of like a very high, sometimes unexciting standard, I guess.
Well, if you
might have given
blog ever on Game of Nerds, you know that I give out a lot of average scoring. So 4, 5s, and 6s and 7s are really common. So the fact that I gave anything an 8 or higher is really good, and that's just a testament to the fact that I love this episode. Hence why I'm on only this one.
Someday when we review Game of Thrones in retrospect, we'll start tossing out some crazy ratings. It'll be great.
Oh God.
Chris, we interrupted you. You were starting to say something.
Yeah, what was I saying? I have no idea what the heck I was saying.
Oh, you were saying you did give. We've both awarded fairly low scores at one point or another. In an individual category.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've given a 5 or 6 to something in Battle of the Water Tribe, probably to Memorable, because that's one episode that I can always skip. I really don't like that.
And it's super boring, yeah.
But it's kind of like crazy. I mean, you are right, Shawn, though, that with this show specifically, it's very rare that scores dip low because this is just a phenomenal show. The quality is so high.
It's hard to separate any one episode from the rest when you're rating pieces individually, but maybe in hindsight, it's like, well, maybe we should have ranked them sort of relative to each other rather than just our perception of like what a good television episode is.
I mean,
it's an
I
interesting
don't
discussion.
know how you would even do that though,
I don't
because
either.
I would say like a bad episode of Avatar is still better than like 85% of TV.
Yeah, maybe. So when we get to the end, we stash all of our ratings in an Excel sheet. And maybe when we get to the end, it'll be fun to have an episode where we kind of just like a quick scroll in order almost, or something like that, where we can kind of get a real good grasp of a better grasp of relative to the rest of the series, we really didn't like that episode. That might be interesting in a big picture way.
Doing like top 5, top 10 at the end of every season is really cool too. At the end of every, or maybe a top 10 at the end of the series, but like you did the top 5 for book 1, and like that's really great too, because I think like you look at top 5 episodes and you're like, wow, these ones really stood out. And even in but I have a hard in season 3, I can't pick 5. It's just not possible.
Yeah, well, and that was very revealing to me in season 1 top 5. It's like I put it together based on the scores. It's like even over the course of watching that season, the way that I watched the show change, and I changed my mind. I don't remember which one it was, the Northern Air Temple or something like that I had in there. I was like, I still like that episode, but really?
But
and so just, I don't know, it displays growth. See, I'm wrong plenty of times, all the time. I'm wrong all the time. So yeah, I think that's probably where that more accurate relative perception comes into play, is like in between seasons or when we're all done, maybe.
Yeah.
Great work. Anybody got an Iroh quote to wrap things up, other than the 2 we've already used? Somebody toss it. Don't use one that we haven't got to yet. Don't steal the opportunities. It's good Iroh quotes.
What is he saying?
Too busy fighting, your ship is setting sail.
That one. There you go. And then it's not really a quote so much as a
as I go, it was just
active.
Yeah. I'm tired of your anecdotes, Uncle.
I was trying.
It's not an anecdote.
I was trying to think of something tea related, because he gets a tea shop in this episode, but
this is nothing but
dirty
hot leaf water, or what is it?
Hot leaf juice.
Yeah.
Hot leaf juice.
And Zuko
Uncle.
said, Uncle.
All
That's
tea is hot leaf juice.
How could any one of my family say this? Like, as if that was like worse. As if that was like worse than Ozai going behind Iroh's back to ask for the throne and then to take over. Like, that's bad. But he can drink tea, right? He's shown drinking tea in The Day of Black Sun Part 2.
I drink tea now.
I don't drink tea.
It's kind of something I've started more since we've gotten, because I drink a lot of coffee. I'm trying to weigh back the coffee and do a little less caffeine, a little more water. So I'll reuse like the same tea bag in like 3 glasses, and it won't even be tea by the end. But it's like tricking my brain into just thinking. It's just tricking my brain into thinking, hey, this is not water, because my brain thinks water's gross for some reason.
I'm an absolutely obsessive tea drinker, so me and Iroh would get along.
I don't drink tea.
I like the
I've never drank
Rooibos
tea in my life.
Are my favorites. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Rooibos?
Oh, yes, I have.
Reds?
I've never drinking tea, just, oh my god.
Chris, I know you don't care for like caffeine type stuff necessarily, but there's a lot of caffeine-free tea.
I've drinking tea maybe twice in my life. When I just had like a cold, I needed something really hot.
Yeah.
In there.
Coffee,
I've never drank coffee
tea. You should
before.
give it a shot.
What? Did you say you've never drank coffee? Oh my.
Chris is not a fan of like caffeinated beverages and such.
What is this? That's how I get through
life. The thing about me is that I like to go against. I like to go against the grain. Like, I'm not trying to say that people are sheep. I'm just trying to say, like, I tend not to do things even though other people do them, right? Like, I have some random rules in life. I never want to buy a suit. I don't own a suit. I'm going through life without having a suit. I never want to smoke weed or do drugs. I never want to drink coffee. I also never want to be arrested. That's more of just a...
That's just solid life advice, really.
Yeah, solid life advice.
The grain and never get arrested.
Hey, we all have that one friend, okay?
So, like, yeah, I've gone through life not doing all those things. Also, I've never been drunk before. That's only because I don't like to taste of alcohol or the smell of it. It's pretty much I'm boring, but that's fine.
Let me say that there are some very exciting caffeine-free teas that are very what's the word, like very minimalist, but it's just a nice change of place from water, which I don't like to drink by itself. Ew.
I love water. So.
I wish I could love water and vegetables. If I had 2 pieces of life advice for like my younger self, it'd be like teach yourself to like water and vegetables.
And exercise. Enjoy exercising.
I don't like actively exercising, or what's the word? I don't like dedicated workouts, but I do like games enough that it's not as big an issue for me. I hate vegetables, and I highly dislike drinking water. It's tough. I know life is hard. But whatever.
And this is the part of the podcast where we just ramble on about.
I'm assuming stuff. That if we had an Iroh quote on screen, we would just be done by now. We would just have quit.
Everyone's ready. They're gone. Okay.
I do this. I like this picture here though because this seems like, I don't know what he's saying there, but it just looks meme caliber right there. Like, oh no, maybe that's the part where he's like, oh, he's not just a puppet. He's a celebrity or whatever. But to me, it looks.
My God. We're gonna use that.
It looks like a good meme picture. I really like that one.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yes.
That being said, this is a very interesting episode. I think we all enjoyed it, both of the podcasts, but also I'm referring to the TV show. But we enjoyed the podcast because it was very nice to have Jaimee with us. Thanks for stopping by. For an hour, and I don't know why I like to quote the time at the end and be like, this is an hour and 36 minutes of talking about 24 minutes of cartoon, and I think that's dedication to the game. That's what that is.
Absolutely.
If we could all be so dedicated to a craft. And so, Jaimee, thank you very much for stopping by. Always a pleasure to have and see you on the podcast. Join us again sometime.
Where can people find you if you want to plug that at all?
Oh yeah.
Game of Nerds. You can just search my name on Twitter, and Twitter is at Jaimee Rindy. You can put the link or
it'll
whatever
be in the descriptions. Yep.
If you want to find my Twitter, I don't know. It's totally up to you.
She's very active on Twitter. She's one of 2 people that like the tweets that I send. The other one's Chris. It's very exciting.
Also at your own discretion. It is. I talk a lot about movies and TV, and I have a lot of opinions. Yay!
And they're very more. Don't follow me. Just follow hers. They're way more interesting. And hers and Chris, at least, they have like a direction. You follow Chris and Jaimee. You know what you're getting into with your tweets. I can't say that about myself, but we'll put that stuff in the description. Great episode. We will join you again in 2 weeks to cover episode 35. I forget what it's called. Tales of Boss Sing Se?
It is the Tales of Boss Sing Se. Yeah.
And it is a very polarizing episode. Very polarizing. So that'll be a fun one.
Also, if we don't have a question for people, but if they want to leave us any comments or questions, be sure to leave that in the comments below, or send us a message on Twitter, or email us. You can email me at theobjectivegeek@gmail.com.
You can also reach me at theobjectivegeek.com. No, that's
yes, you do have my email account.
No, if you had an email, but I'd say the quickest way is probably Twitter. Hit us up at Twitter. We love fielding comments, making shout-outs about fantasy football teams or other television shows and whatnot. And that's all I got. Thank you very much, and we will talk to you guys in a couple weeks. We'll get Chris's goodbye wave, his customary goodbye wave, and then Jaimee, you can give your little sign-off wave. I'm sorry you guys had to watch me eat popcorn. We'll catch you later.
You wave quite differently.